Hello everybody, welcome back to another recording. I had my mic muted, but that's okay. Now, today we will be playing Kyle is Famous. Don't know much about it, never played it, never really looked into it. But, Kyle is famous. Kyle wakes up, he is famous. More. Kyle is the host of the most popular show in recent memory, Stay Up Late with Kyle. Stay Up Late with Kyle has grown in popularity quickly in the last year, and the public has noticed. Insiders called Kyle a most excellent dumpy white man. Top Tech noted Kyle is inspiring youth to explore STEM fields. Most other talk shows are dedicated to discussing Kyle and his personal details. Ooh. Famous. Most online videos are best of clips taken from Kyle's latest broadcast. The eye of the world is upon Kyle. Tonight is Kyle's most important guest interview yet. Stay Up Late with Kyle will be featuring Rachel May. She is kind and lovely philanthropist. She is dear to the hearts of many. This interview requires preparation. Kyle cracked his eyes open knowing today is his last chance to prepare for the interview. Kyle has 30 hours left. He must choose his actions wisely. Alright. Kyle's first decision in the morning was made widely. Alright. Kyle exited his bed, took a quick glance around his bedroom, opened the closet, sit at the desk, scavenge, exit bedroom to hallway. Kyle opened the closet. It was dark, and he could only really see his hanging shirts. Choose an outfit. Kyle decided to take some time to choose a perfect outfit, knowing how important appearance is. Jeans and swimming goggles. Yes, big brain. Skunk pasties. Nah, slick suit. Suit of armor. Got a slick suit. He miraculously crammed his dumpy body into the suit. The chest pockets were filled with random knickknacks. Kyle returned to the center of the bedroom. Exit the bedroom. Kyle walked into the small hallway that connects his rooms of his apartment together. Check lock door. Leave apartment. Move to kitchen. Return to bedroom. Move to kitchen. Alright, check pantry. Kyle wanted to access the pantry but found it was locked with a small keyhole. Open fridge. Kyle opened the fridge to find something to eat. Eat crust on fridge wall. No thanks. Eat the fridge. Yeah, I don't know about that one. You will prepare breakfast, you know. Alright. Kyle constructed breakfast, poached eggs, toast. I don't really want to smash my breakfast. I'll eat it. Whoa, nice, Kyle. Kyle ate his breakfast slowly, thoughtfully enjoying every bite. He felt refreshed. Kyle walked to the center of the kitchen. Return to hallway. Kyle walked to the small hallway that connects the rooms of his apartment together. Check lock door. Leave apartment. Kyle walked down to the middle of the road and took a long pondering look around him. Visit tech store. Visit downstairs neighbor. Return to apartment. We'll go to tech store. Kyle walked into the clean white tech store. He was greeted by Techno Jim, an elaborate cutout mascot with flashing lights. Steal Techno Jim. Ask attendant for free samples. Ask store attendant whether or not they offered free samples to important customers. The attendant gave Kyle a confused and slightly vacant look. Kyle began to beg for a free sample. Wanting Kyle to leave, the attendant grabbed a decrepit phone meant for spare parts and held it out. Grab with teeth, grab with hand. Kyle took the phone placently from the outstretched hand and said quietly, "Thanks for your service." Man, treat them like they're in the military. Ooh. Smash phone. Kyle now has this phone to use forevermore. Give a review of free sample. Steal Technology. It will give a review. This phone, said Kyle, is several years old and has exposed wires coming out the back. Kyle continued, the phone also had screen issues after I used it to hammer nails into the wall for repainting. Don't know why. Furthermore, when I submerged it into water, I got severely shocked until it runs out of battery. The attendant looked at Kyle, pursed his lips, and said nothing. Feeling he had made his argument, Kyle decided to leave. Kyle walked down to the middle of the street. We'll visit our neighbor. No, we'll return to apartment. And then we'll check lock door. Kyle hurried to the set. Oh. Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. Rachel. "Good evening, Kyle," she said, looking at him. "I've been looking forward to being here more." Kyle responded. Scream and spin in circles. Answer politely. "And I as well," Rachel answered. Kyle extending his hand in greeting. "You are most welcome, guest. Shake hands." After other mild exchange of pleasantries, Kyle and Rachel were prompted to take their places for the broadcast. A moment after seeing the studio lights brighten and the cameras clicked on. Start broadcast. "Good evening, everyone," said Kyle, looking at the camera. "Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle." Introduce Rachel. "Tonight I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Rachel May, who needs no more introduction." Kyle motioned to Rachel, who smiled and waved at the camera. "Hello, Kyle," she said. "I'm glad to be here." "Well, I'm sure, we have a lot to discuss, so we might as well dive right into it," Kyle said. Kyle. "I'm very ready," said Rachel, with a winning smile. In a shock, Kyle realized he had never bothered to prepare any notes for the interview. Knowing he had millions of eyes upon him, Kyle came up with a solution quickly. Play dead, run away, blame Rachel for the lack of notes. "Rachel, I need to be honest, you're not terribly interesting, and I could not think of what I should. In fact," I continue, "I would far rather interview a fish than I would." And furthermore, said Carl, "I'm not sure I could tell the difference between you and a fish." Carl leaned back in his chair, desperately hoped the blame had been shifted. Rachel glowered at Kyle. Kyle glowered back. Rachel left the studio. Kyle no longer had a guest, and spent the next 42 minutes staring at the camera silently. Kyle repaired by blaming others. Man, great ending. Top ending, top notch. Kyle's favorite. Yeah, okay, skip. Alright, browse social media. Wait, what? Stay Up Late with Kyle ranked 1 and 2 show on television. Get out of bed. Here, let's scavenge. Kyle quickly crouched down on the floor, realizing his immediate need for bugs, gossip, or back to bedroom. Kyle firmly pressed his ear into the carpet, hoping he would hear some words from the neighbours below. "I heard Rachel May is going on a trip out of country soon. Oh, girlfriend, tell me more." "Well, what I will tell you is that every night I don a mask that looks like a bug and fight misdoers." There was a stunned silence, then the door opened and someone exited the neighbour's apartment. That's quite enough. Kyle returned to the centre of the bedroom. We'll choose an outfit. We'll go back to the slick suit. I'm going to try and get a decent ending. Sit at desk. Okay, Kyle made his way over to the desk and sat down. Check in desk drawer. Kyle opened the side drawer and grabbed one of the items he stored in there. Small key. Back to desk. Write notes for interview. Is your mother... Are you a mother? We'll go with that one. What are some diet tips? Beef, mashed or blended? Ever eaten a raw egg whole? We've got diet tips. What's your funniest story? Do you ever smile? I purposely ran over... We'll go with funniest story. Kyle wrote down his last question. What's your guilty pleasure? Do you feel guilty? Are you guilty? We'll go with what's your guilty pleasure? Back to desk. Alright, here we go. We're back to room. Watch this. I'm about to go really smart. Move to kitchen. Check pantry. Unlock the small key. The pantry door lock creaked as if it hadn't been open for years, but eventually opened. Instead of an assortment of canned goods and grains, Kyle's pantry stored his massive amount of bottled lard. Ignore pantry for now. Chug a bottle of lard. Grab a bottle of lard. Well, ignore the lard. You know, I feel like that's another time. Turn to hallway. More. Kyle hurried to the set. Sitting across his host's chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. Rachel. "Good evening," she said, looking at him in the eyes. "I've been looking forward to being here." Carl responded. Scream and spin in circles? Answer politely. And I as well, Rachel, answered Carl, extending his hand and greeting. You are the most welcome guest. Shake hands. After other mild exchanges of pleasantries, Kyle and Rachel were prompted to take their places for the broadcast. After a moment of seating the studio, the lights brightened and the cameras turned on. Good evening, everyone, said Kyle, looking up at the camera. Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle. Introduce Rachel. Tonight I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Rachel May, who needs no more introduction. Kyle motioned to Rachel, who smiled and waved at the camera. Hello, Kyle, she said. I'm glad to be here. In response, Kyle collapsed on the floor. From a combustion of stressful preparation and not eating anything, Kyle had passed out. Oh, that's bad. Nobody in the studio quite knew what to do with him. They began to poke Kyle in the back to see if he moved. After a while, they ended the broadcast, shut off the lights, and went home. Kyle was left face first on the floor. Oh, we made the wrong decision. Alright. We're gonna exit bed. Sit at desk. Write notes for interview. There we go. Easy. Just same choice as before. Back to room. Here we go. Open closet. Choose an outfit. Suit. Here we go. Speed running game. Here we go. Right, there we go. Next we want to probably return to bedroom. Want to sit at desk. Check in desk drawer. Sorted change. Check it, we'll grab a key. And then we'll go back to room. Go check lock door. Force door open with forward. Kyle, hurry to the set. Look at all the stuff I got, guys. Notes. Don't know what that is. Phone. No, that's phone. Food. Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. Good evening, Kyle, she said, looking at him in the eyes. I've been looking forward to being here. Kyle responded, answered politely. And I as well, answered Kyle, extending his hand in greeting. You are the most welcome guest. After other mild exchange of pleasantries, Kyle and Rachel were prompted to take their places for the podcast. A moment after sitting, the studio lights brightened and cameras clicked on. Start broadcast. Good evening, everyone, Kyle said, looking up at the camera. Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle. Man, I should not be a what do you call it? Streamer or YouTube person. Tonight I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Rachel May, who needs no more introduction. Kyle motioned to the camera. Motioned to Rachel. Damn, not very smart. Who smiled and waved at the camera. Hello, Kyle, she said. I'm glad to be here. Well, I'm sure, we have a lot to discuss. So we might as well dive right in. I'm very ready, said Rachel with a winning smile. Kyle produced the notes he had taken earlier. What are some diet tips? Rachel, you managed to keep such a thin and healthy figure, said Kyle. What is your best diet tip? Well, a good diet starts with a plan, answered Rachel, and don't break it. Cheat days can turn into a bit of a habit. But, she continued, that doesn't mean a midnight snack here and there isn't allowed. She smiled. Kyle looked at his flabby self and decided not to comment and move on. Kyle asked another question. What's your funniest story? You've been involved in a lot of different things, said Kyle, but what's your funniest story? Well, that's a great question, Kyle, said Rachel. I think the story I always remember is the first time I tried to make dinner for my family. In the soup I made, I swapped out the water with milk and tipped a whole jar of salt in the pot. Oh, big brain. While my family was sick from trying to eat it, I swiped their things and locked myself in my room. Big brain. Rachel laughed elegantly. Carl decided to move on. Are you a mother? Rachel Rachel, I, and many others would love to know. Are you a mother? Carl looked up from his notes. Well, being a single woman with a career, she said, answered, that's not something that has crossed my mind. Rachel smiled genuinely at Carl. Very reasonable indeed, said Carl. He referenced his paper of questions. Carl asked another question. What's your guilty pleasure? We all have one. What's your guilty pleasure? Ooh, well, that's an easy answer, said Rachel. Dipping pickles in chocolates. Ooh, odd one. Might sound a bit strange, but it's tangy and sweet at the same time. I eat it far too often. Rachel smiled sweetly. After reading his final question, Carl looked up from his paper. Well, Rachel, he said, I think that's all I was planning on asking you. If that's the case, Carl, may I ask you something in return? Rachel smiled one more time. Do you prefer your interviews in advance? Because you seem to be very together. Before Carl could answer, the cameras shut down. The broadcast was over. Carl returned home knowing the interview had gone well. But as he laid in bed and drifted off to sleep, he felt perhaps was something still missing? Carl prepared very well. Alright, now we're going to go stupid ending, okay? Wither away. Get out of bed anyway, I'm a ghost now. Exit bedroom to hallway. Check locked door. Float through as ghost. Carl used his ghostly powers to walk straight through the door. Carl found himself in the room stashed with various items sent to him by fans. Check suit. I'm gonna get the claymore. This is one of the many mysterious artifacts Carl has been sent over the years. Smash artifact. Carl pounding the mysterious artifact on the ground with both fists. Within a few hours it became dust. An ancient force trapped inside the artifact is released and turned Kyle into a lizard demon. We're not dead anymore. Kyle found himself in the room. I can float. Okay. You know what? I'm not going to question that. Here, we're going to leave apartment. We're going to haunt around. Kyle felt a sudden pull on his heart. Had he abandoned his job as a ghost? He was fulfilling his spooky ethereal role that he accepted by lying in bed this morning. Kyle realized he had no other choice and he must spend his day spooking about. Kyle decided he should make a plan about who or where he should spook. Spook himself, spook the neighbor Gabby, spook the interview. Kyle thought it would be the best to continue his daily course, but with a twist. Today he would still go into the studio, but instead of conducting an interview, he would haunt. Excitedly, Kyle made his way to the studio early to find the best spot to conduct his ghostly duties. The studio was empty. Being so early, the crew wouldn't arrive for several hours. Kyle gleefully skipped around the building, finding the best spot for himself to hide. After searching for some time, Kyle decided to hide behind the guest chair. Kyle quickly placed himself down and drew his legs on the chest. As soon as the crew began to arrive for the setup interview that night, invisible to all senses, Kyle went undetected. He watched as the cameras were set up, screens were turned on, and pages were flipped. Within an hour or two, Rachel walked into the studio. Hey everyone, said Rachel, smiling kindly. I'm ready to get prepared. Who do I need to talk to first? Carl's producer approached her. Thank you for being here, Rachel. You should talk to Andrew about your makeup first, and then wait for when Carl arrives. Carl, knowing he was dumping everyone, began to giggle uncontrollably. It was then that he, like clockwork, ceased to be a ghost. The studio grew silent. Everyone stared at Carl, head down, clutching his legs, giggling at the floor. Carl froze. He had found himself in a situation he had not encountered before. Generally, people don't encounter these scenarios, I'm going to be honest with you. Carl started to crawl out of the studio on all fours, hoping his small form would avoid attracting more attention. Everyone wordlessly watched as Carl made his way across the stage, through the production set and out the door. As soon as Carl was out, broke into a full sprint. Oh wow, good job Carl. Carl made his way back to his apartment as quickly as possible. Carl sat in his kitchen, processed what had happened during the day. He vowed that he would never haunt anything again. Yeah, let's have a look at the name of the endings we got. Spooked Rachel. Good interview, no food, and blamed Rachel. These all seem to be against Rachel, I'm going to be honest with you guys. But Thank you everyone for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one.